igitekerezo cyiza
Very,
utanze,
very excellent.
kandi
Very
harimo
well
impanuro nyinshi
spoken. All right, my people,
cyane cyane ku
let's
rubyiruko.
go and let's start our own show with Mr. GATEBUKE. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to unmute you, or you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, thank
Welcome,
you. Yeah,
welcome to you and I. Thank you so much for being here.
thank you for having me, and congratulations on your new book. And I'm looking forward to that signed copy, so I can, put it in the what am I gonna call this? I need to come up with a name for. I guess it's the select few, the shelf of the select few. So, definitely, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Let's get this party started, my people. Today we are live on Saturday, June 21st. Welcome back to You and I Talk Show. We're gonna start in English and then continue on into Kinyarwanda. Thank you for being here, everybody.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. Yes.
Having a hard time hearing you. I wasn't sure if can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfect.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So, Mr. GATEBUKE, I've been hearing some rumors. And then so many people have been asking me about you. You have so many fans, so many people love you. They missed you. They're like, where is Claude GATEBUKE, Mr. GATEBUKE? Where are you? Where is he? And then I heard some rumors a while ago. There was the NBC, not actually like very, very recently. There was the NBC documentary that exposed the Kagamistan in Rwanda, even showing satellites and everything. So I was wondering if you know something about it. And I heard that you are one of the top suspects of the people who actually helped NBC, because they talked about some talented activists and journalists who helped them on the story. So I'm thinking you're like the top suspect. So I want to know if you were involved and how you were involved. And then before you even tell me if you were, I want to thank everybody who were involved and who is working to expose what is happening in Rwanda, because the people of Rwanda are seriously suffering, and we need people like you who makes the noise and who tells the world what is happening in every language, so that the world knows. And then you also went to the peace thing in Asia. You can also tell us about that. Oh my God, you've done so much things and people have been missing you. So please update us. And then if you want to snitch on yourself, this is the platform. Thank you.
Well, where I live, snitches get stitches. So I'm gonna share some and keep a little bit. But thank you for holding the fort down, and definitely shout out and much love to all the fans and everybody, all the friends, everybody that's been wondering where I've been. And hope everybody's doing okay. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reconnecting with everybody. So you asked about, yeah, a lot of stuff. If we want to start with the NBC documentary, or the talented, the reference to the talented activists and journalists that helped. So the documentary had a lot of different things, and for me, it's important that, the motto, right? The world must know. This isn't just my own thing. This is something that, we do, and we've done on HMG a lot with everybody, all the hosts and co-hosts, and, you know, um, and so we really, really have to make sure that in order for there to be real change, we have to make sure that the world is involved and the world is a part of it. Otherwise, Rwanda is not this really small island that is all by itself. It's a part of the world. And just from the jump, I would say one of the ways to deal with the regime, the dictatorship, the genocidal maniacs that are running Rwanda, who are committing genocide in Rwanda, who are committing mass rapes in Congo, especially in the Congo, who are doing mass rapes in the Congo, who are using child soldiers, who are subjecting children to child labor, who are turning little girls into sexual slaves, who are burning women, who are opening the wombs of pregnant women. Um, these these people, these Gestapo, these African Nazis, the way to deal with them, one of the ways to deal with them, one is to expose them, but the other is to actually isolate them. That's why boycotting Rwanda products, anything that is tied to the regime or could remotely promote the regime has to be boycotted because and the number one people who have that responsibility are Rwandans, and the responsibility to speak out is the Rwandans because this is being done by Rwandan people. So I want to kick a really, really big shout out to people who I cannot mention for sure. Those who inside of Rwanda and in the area participated in this project at major and great risk, and were able to give not only the testimony. So the parts, I guess I am snitching on myself now. I didn't know about the project to start with. And it wasn't until I heard from a young Congolese activist that basically asked if I could, and this is not um, somebody that's, like widely known, so I'm not going to put out his name. And then a he said, "Hey, there's this project, but there is some missing parts because we need to verify some information inside of Rwanda, and we also need to there's a need to connect with people who are inside of the force, the RDF." And so then um, the work was to make sure that we can do this in a really, really safe way. Um, and the other part was actually making sure we connect with folks. I'm not sure if somebody else, like if they had reached out to other people before I got involved, but at some point during the project, there was actually a leak. The project, like there were people who were like if very irresponsibly going out and asking if folks can participate and if they can find people who are willing to participate and all of that. So we had to actually at one point stop because some of the witnesses were like, "Oh hell no, we ain't finna get involved in this thing that might get us killed, and it looks like it's starting to go out." Um, and so that was part one. The other part was now getting folks to so what that led to, the Congolese activists, um, this young man then made a connection, and after we made that connection, I was able to connect with some journalists from the region also, and then the big part for me was finding people inside Rwanda and the Rwandan army to like give testimony and to share some of these details. The other piece was helping with like the sites that were being seen on satellite, actually like finding the exact locations. So to find those exact locations, you need people on the ground. um, to There were like even places like mass graves inside of Congo that were like new places where like the earth had been turned. And what is evident and obvious is when a place is at war and people are fighting and destroying the place, people don't just go in there and start like farming. The only other thing that would have happened would have been farming. And so it was all of that. But in the end, the whole goal was showing with and leave no doubt that Rwanda's troops are in the Congo, that they are wreaking havoc, and that this is an undeniable fact, which, for me, this has always been a fact, and it's not hard to find the facts. And of course, people have to trust you to make themselves that vulnerable and share such things. And there was a lot of revelations, a lot of things. You know, even though Rwanda is invading the Congo, and my heart goes out, number one, first and foremost, to the Congolese people, the millions of Congolese people who've lost their loved ones, the millions of Congolese people who've been displaced. If we just go by the 6 million number from the mid 2000s, the 6 million Congolese who've been killed in this genocide, this ongoing genocide from the last 30 years, and we say, okay, only 6 million, to say only 6 million is crazy. And if we just stop at the 6 million, we add the numbers, the official numbers of displaced, 7 million, that's more than the whole population of Rwanda. I know Rwanda claims they have 13 million people as a total population, which I also think is a fake number. I think the numbers are less than that. And I can get into that later. Not a big deal. Um, I also felt sorry for the families, the people who lost their children in those wars. And, Rwandan soldiers, I mean, like some of the conditions, they were like starving. And those who were injured did not even, as soon as they slightly got better, they sent them back. I mean, there is like really, really horrible conditions that they stayed in, and that's why they're using so many numbers. That's why they're sending thousands and thousands, because they're taking so many casualties, like in the thousands. The one of the graves had grown by over 900 bodies, and those 900 what do they call them, tombs. um, and those 900, I mean, that's 900 is a lot. And that is probably just, they might probably be recycling them and reusing them. That was part of some of the things that we learned as part of the project. So all that to say, for me, the big shout out goes to the people who actually took the risk, the bigger risk than those of us who were doing the, connecting and, making sure like we did it in a safe way, and that, no one was harmed in the process. It's still the people who took that risk are the ones, the families and the, you know, I mean, also, my condolences to them for some of the people they lost, those who lost family and friends, and everybody in this genocide that the Kagamistan, Paul Kagame, is conducting along with his military in the Congo on behalf of Western multinationals and Western interests with the sponsorship of the US and the UK and the European Union, France, Canada, and so many others who are involved in the Canadian companies. Um, some Australian companies, Swiss companies. I mean, so many people who are involved in the exploitation of the Congolese and the Congo and the Congolese people, using those local mercenaries, the Rwandan troops. And obviously, the documentary didn't talk about the Ugandan soldiers who are also mercenaries in there, but um, it was important that this project comes out and shows um, the what is really happening. And also, NBC is a major platform, which, as you have seen in um, for the last 30 years, I mean, it's rare that you will see any of these, especially in the US, these major networks talking about the atrocities that Rwanda is committing in the Congo and calling a dog by its name. NBC is one of four, I think, national, maybe five. I don't remember the exact number, but I know it's very small number where you can access the channel without actually having any kind of subscription. Anybody can access NBC, and they have millions and millions of viewers. And obviously, the US is involved because US tax dollars are used to sponsor and give aid to Kagame, military support, diplomatic support. Multiple US ambassadors to the UN have blocked reports that came out on Rwanda. They've blocked resolutions on Rwanda. Um, they continue to try to dance around the criminality of their errand boy, Paul Kagame, who and Yoweri Museveni, who they continue to try to paint as some kind of benevolent dictator, or they don't even call him a dictator. They say, "Oh yeah, there is leadership and all of that." So it was important that it goes out to in a mainstream publication or mainstream media that reaches the masses who are paying the price. The only thing I wish that was a part of it was not just to talk about that there is this peace deal that's brokered by the US, but also to show that the US government, and maybe that was in there, I can't remember, I have to double check it, but the US has been a major supporter and the number one donor to the dictatorship and the tyranny in Rwanda.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for for making sure that this comes out, because as you know, the Kagamistan, Kagame himself, we call Rwanda the Kagamistan now because he has turned Rwanda into his own personal property where there's no law, it's just his orders. He went on CNN. He actually sat in front of a journalist on CNN. And then when they asked him, "Is your army in Congo?" And he said, "I don't know." So Claude Gatebuke is sitting in his office, in his basement military operation dungeon, activist, peaceful activist operation room. And he's like, "You don't know? You don't know? Oh, what? I'm gonna tell the whole world. I'm gonna show the whole world." Is that how it happened? Like when you saw Kagame on CNN claiming that he doesn't know if the Rwandan military is in Congo or not. Like, where were you in the documentary? Where was this documentary? And then, so what did you say? What did you say to yourself? Like, what?
Yeah, let me talk to Kagame directly, the tyrant of Rwanda. Okay, so Paul, you say that you actually did not know that you had troops in Rwanda. Well, we put out the information for you. Now you know that your troops, I mean, sorry, that they weren't in Congo. Now you have it, just in case, okay? In case you really didn't. But that reminds me of a time back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when you made the same claims and said that there were no Rwandan troops in Congo. And then You held a ceremony to celebrate Rwandan troops coming back to Rwanda from Congo and coming back from a country that they were not even a part, that they were not in to begin with, according to your own claims. So when you come up with lies like that, we are going to not only debunk you, but we are determined to make sure that there is change in the region, there's change in Rwanda, and there's change in the region, and that justice is served. All of the people that you and your military have killed, all the women that you and your military have raped, and by the way, we have some of that testimony too from the soldiers themselves. All of the atrocities that you've committed, you selling out our sisters and brothers in Congo, especially, and also in Rwanda, these crimes, you and your henchmen, your Nazis, you are going to be taken to justice. We are determined to make sure that justice is served so that there is peace, lasting peace in the region, and that the culture of impunity ends. So, Paul, you didn't know? Well, come here, real quick. The You can either go to YouTube or you can go to NBC.com and you'll find the documentary. That's not the only place, but you can find it. By the way, listen to the Congolese people, but you don't think they're people because you're so busy killing them. You have dehumanized them. You're busy killing human beings, which I'm sure you probably don't have a heart that is enough to even care about a human being. You only care about your power and your greed. But I'm telling you, we are determined to make sure that justice is served. And you can bet your right hand on it. We're going to continue all the way to the very end. So I think
Thank
now he
you.
knows. I'm sure he watches. He doesn't. you know, one of his people that's following will let him know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, what do you think about this piece? Trump has been talking about how he's getting a wonderful, beautiful deal, peace deal between Rwanda and Congo. What do you think about it, given everything that you know? And then, we are fighting for justice. We are fighting for the truth on all fronts. We haven't heard anybody talk about justice and talk about all the millions of the victims in this peace deal. So what do you think? And the fact that nobody has even seen the peace deal, how do we even know it's a peace deal? Is not just identifying as peace.
Identifying as peace, huh? Well, I'll tell you this. Me personally, um, when I looked at the whole narrative around the deal, it looks to me everything is about the minds. There's not much about the people, and these are decisions that are being made without the people. The people are not center of it. So I think once again, this is just one of many, similar to similar to all the other peace deals that we've seen in the past. We've seen many. You remember the one in Sun City back in the 90s? Oh, this is just a repetition. We've seen similar. I mean, the Kagame, and he was trained in Uganda with Yoweri Museveni. These are things that they have done for the last 5 decades. I think it's five. 1980s was what, like almost 5 decades ago now. Since since the 1980s, the Paul Kagame and Yoweri Museveni, his godfather in crime, they have used talks and negotiations and peace deals and ceasefires and all of these things as reprieves so that they can regroup. There were some things that I saw in it. So there's some other reasons why I'm skeptical about it. I'm not sure that the U.S. a reliable partner in this. Obviously, they're in for the minerals because that's all they keep talking about. It's about mining and the minerals and things like that. The other part is, we've seen people make deals with the U.S. and end up, those deals, they turn on them. I mean, we know Saddam Hussein, remember Osama bin Laden, and many others. So that's one reason to be skeptical. The other is, Trump changes all the time. He starts one thing, he says one thing today, and he changes the next day. So that's just on the U.S. side of things. But it's also the fact that they are trying to find a way, it seems, to let Rwanda off the hook. There's no justice. Justice is not part of this deal. Again, these are very similar to a lot of previous deals that were done. Not very different. The only thing different this time is that they want the presidents to sign it, so Kagame might have to sign. Now, the funny part, there's also a funny part in this. Remember, Kagame doesn't know that his troops are in Congo, right?
Hmm.
But he's negotiating peace with
Yeah,
Congo. You know?
thank you. It's a Congolese conflict, right? So what is
Yeah,
Rwanda doing?
yeah.
On why
Thank
why is Rwanda the one signing a peace deal between Rwanda and Congo? And then
yeah,
Kagame was brought into power by the US. How can the US be a mediator? And I hear even Qatar is involved. Qatar
yeah,
is an investor in Rwanda. How is it a mediator?
yeah. And Qatar is also, there are projects in the Congo that Qatar wants to get their hands on. Um,
Mm.
some of the dams. And the U.S. is also invested in the Congo in the Lubero corridor to extract minerals from southern Congo, which is not exactly near Rwanda, but there's also these critical minerals in that eastern part of Congo that they want to get their hands on. So all of that to say, for me, I am skeptical of the deal. The other piece to it, there's one other piece, or many others, but I'll talk about this one. There is a piece about returning Congolese refugees that I read. I'm not 100% sure, of course, if this will be a part of it, but think about it if it's a part of it. You remember what the RPF, Paul Kagame's Nazi party, did in 1993 when when the peace accord in Arusha, Tanzania, allowed for them to bring 600 troops into Rwanda. They ended
Mhm.
up bringing thousands of troops. They came and infiltrated the country. They would bring the
Arab
brothers.
gang.
Yeah. And then they would send them out in the community and recruit more people in the community into the CND, the parliament building, and they would take them to train them, and they will bring more and more and more. Under with the complicity of UN troops who were led by Canadian General Romeo Dallaire. So I suspect what they're gonna do this time is Paul Kagame is gonna and his Rwandan regime are going to take they're gonna, instead of bringing back the Congolese refugees, they're going to dress their troops as Congolese refugees, send them to Congo, and then start a war and call it now a Congolese war instead of an invasion. I've been saying this, and that's one of the things that I'm very skeptical about. I've seen the RPF do this, they've done it so many times. This game of infiltration, if nobody learned from what they did in the early 90s in Rwanda with infiltrating so many troops into the country, and to the extent now that they brag about it and say, yeah, we had like 5 members in every part of Rwandan society. This is what I think they're probably going to end up doing. And then they will create a rebellion. And this time he's going to say, oh, no, 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 it's not me. See, it was never me. It's the Congolese people. The same way that, and these Congolese refugees who tried to go home in 2018, February 2018, and Rwandan troops massacred them. Rwandan police massacre them and block them from returning home. They're saying they need to send them home and that they support their right to fight for their homeland, which is still false. And also one of the things that actually happens in Rwanda, which is very similar to what I predict will happen with them replacing the refugees and stop not actually sending those refugees back, but instead of doing that, sending Rwandan troops. It's the same way now when those Congolese refugees get resettlement to Western countries, the Rwandan regime takes their documents and they put their own kids, the kids of the elite, and the privileged in Rwanda and send them abroad, and those refugees end up staying in Rwanda. Those type of fraudulent activities have also occurred. So I can already see Kagame playing the game and the RPF playing the game and this regime, this genocidal maniac regime in Rwanda, playing the game of infiltration into the Congo and starting a brand new war as a result of this so-called peace deal. But it's more not so much a peace deal; it's a minerals deal.
Hmm.
That's the way I see it. Um,
Wow, thank you so much. We have someone who wants to ask a question live or comment live. We have Symphorien POMBE, and he's a brother from Congo. And I think he wants to say something.
yeah.
Let's bring him into the show. Symphorien POMBE, thank you so much for being here. We are listening. What do you think about what we've been saying, or do you have a question or a comment? Thank you.
Je dois m'exprimer peut-être en français pour une bonne compréhension. Je parle plusieurs langues, mais mon anglais n'est pas parfait. Je salue d'abord l'intelligence de Claude. Merci beaucoup, Claude GATEBUKE, pour votre intervention. Frère, nous sommes ensemble et nous sommes ensemble dans ces combats. Moi, je suis votre frère. Je suis né dans le Grand Lac, dans le Grand Lac de Juvenal à Biarimana au temps de la CPGL. Et donc, c'est pour moi un très grand plaisir que la sœur Ausares Louise Uwacu organise cette rencontre. Moi, je pense que c'est très important que les nouvelles énergies du Grand Lac se rencontrent parce que nous avons les mêmes esprits. Je pense que c'est important. Ça fait 31 ans que nous avons été gérés par ce que la sœur appelle souvent les Kagamistan. Et moi, je pense que les Kagamistan nous a plongés dans les caniveaux, dans les égouts. Et c'est horrible parce que nous avons perdu beaucoup, beaucoup de gens dans le Congo. Et à cause du régime du Kagamistan. Merci parce que vous venez de pointer quand même le pillage des minerais congolais. Je suis vraiment très content. Et également dans le Kivu, nous avons l'hôpital de Panzi qui est là. Et ce sont des femmes qui ont été sexuellement violées par des soubresauts du Kagamistan. Moi, je pense qu'il nous faut une réparation. Après Kagame, il nous faut une réparation, il nous faut une thérapie, il nous faut une reconstruction de la région. Moi, je ne sais pas comment vous pensez, mais je crois
Oui.
vraiment, je ne sais pas comment vous pensez.
Ah oui, d'abord enchanté, mon frère Symphorien. Et puis, oui, je suis d'accord que il faut. Mon français, c'est pas terrible aussi,
Pas
mais
de souci,
je
pas de
vais
souci.
essayer de m'en sortir. Euh, oui, je suis d'accord que il faut. euh, il faut qu'il y ait des réparations, comment on dit en français, reparations, réparation?
Mhm.
Oui, oui, parce que la justice, ce n'est pas euh, tout simplement arrêter les criminels et puis c'est tout. Mais il y a aussi, il faut réparer le mal. Une réparation, ça fait aussi partie de la justice. Et c'est comme ça que la région aura une paix durable et la région pourra se développer. Et il faut aussi que le pouvoir ne se concentre pas dans les mains des élites, mais que le pouvoir soit dans les mains des peuples de la région. Alors oui, je suis très, très d'accord à propos des réparations et aussi à propos de la justice. Et enchanté.
Merci beaucoup. Et puis vous devez quand même comprendre que nous sommes nombreux qui sommes dans ce combat ici. Nous avons le prix Nobel de la paix, Denis Mukwege, qui est persona non grata dans le Kivu. Et pourquoi? Simplement, c'est parce il est contre le régime de Kagame. Il est contre des millions de Hutus qui étaient assassinés à Tingi.
Oui.
Merci, merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. Et donc, oui, je pense que c'est important. Merci beaucoup. Je pense que, ouais, merci, merci beaucoup, mon frère. Et je pense vraiment que c'est important que nous essayons de créer des liens. Et c'est important. Et puis, la sœur qui est ici, et moi, je pense que nous devons, elle use de ouachucratie. Je pense qu'elle use de ouachucratie pour nous relier ensemble. Je pense que c'est important et qu'il faut que nous usons vraiment de ouachucratie pour la solidarité dans la région. Je pense que c'est important parce que nous sommes ensemble. Nous sommes ensemble. Moi, autant de mes parents dans cette région, et ils ont travaillé pour la CEPGL et nous, on chantait certaines chansons en Kinyarwanda. Vous comprenez donc le Kinyarwanda, j'apprends et je pense que il faut vraiment que j'améliore. Hein. Il ne faut pas seulement que je dise à ma cour ou non, non, c'est pas suffisant ou non, je dois vraiment améliorer et puis même chanter. Écouter de la musique et des idées. Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez cette chanson-là. Vous
Écoutez
connaissez
de la musique et
la
des
musique
idées.
et des idées. Missionnaire Burundi Jamari. Écoutez de la musique et des idées. Un Rwanda Chigari. Vous voyez, c'est une chanson qui me parle. Et puis,
Oui.
il y a une autre là, Amaramba, oh Amaramba, Amaramba, Biarimana, Perezida, Emerende ya Murunda, Umaranda Muramba, Muranda. Merci, merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup,
Merci,
merci
notre
beaucoup.
frère Symphorien POMBE. On était en train de parler en anglais de comment Claude GATEBUKE fait partie des activistes et des journalistes talentueux qui ont aidé NBC News à exposer le documentaire qu'ils ont fait là sur l'invasion cachée du Rwanda au Congo. On est en train de le remercier. Je ne sais pas si vous avez vu le documentaire où le Kagamistan avait menti qu'il ne sait pas que son armée est au Congo. Et puis, grâce donc aux activistes et à certains journalistes comme Michaela Wrong aussi et d'autres journalistes de NBC News, Maureen Scott, grâce à eux, le documentaire est sorti. Je ne sais pas si vous avez vu le documentaire. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez?
Merci beaucoup, j'ai vu les documentaires, nous avons milité énormément. Vous savez, frère Claude GATEBUKE, je vous remercie beaucoup pour ce travail-là. Oui, je viens de lire que vous êtes journaliste, vous êtes activiste. Merci pour ce travail-là parce que c'est un travail qui valorise l'Afrique. Et ça fait plus de 20 ans que nous militons parce que nous avons milité énormément pour qu'il y ait reconnaissance des connaissances, de reconnaissance de pillage, reconnaissance de la présence de l'armée rwandaise sur le territoire congolais. Vous voyez, ça, c'est depuis moi, je disais depuis le 29, c'était le 29 octobre 1996 que nous avons milité pour ça. Le 29, vous voyez, c'était le 29 octobre 1996 que nous avons milité pour ce que vous venez d'accoucher maintenant. Je cite cette date-là, c'est parce qu'il y a Christophe Monzeirois Monengabo, c'était un monseigneur à Bukavu, qui était criblé de balles à Nyawera à cause de ce que vous venez de coucher, de nous montrer. Donc, vous comprenez que c'est un travail qui a pris beaucoup, beaucoup de temps. C'est un travail. Il y a beaucoup de gens qui ont dénoncé le prix Nobel de la paix, Denis Mukwege a dénoncé plusieurs fois. Je pense que vous suivez l'actualité. Nous avons un autre journaliste, juriste, Kerouin Maizo, qui dénonce également. Il vit en France. Persona non grata au Congo. Et je pense Fabien Kouswanika, c'est un journaliste en Belgique également, qui a dénoncé plusieurs fois. Reti Amoulis, lui, c'était un ancien avocat au tribunal pénal international pour le Rwanda. Il a également dénoncé. Et donc, quand on voit que la nouvelle génération prend les relais, les combats, et puis Claude GATEBUKE accouche les résultats, moi, je pense que c'est un grand honneur. Merci beaucoup pour ce travail-là. Merci, merci beaucoup. Et donc, je le dis toujours, Goma, c'est chez moi, je suis né à Goma, Goma, c'est la ville de ma mère, et donc, Gisenyi, c'est chez moi, Butare, c'est chez moi, Tchangougou, c'est moi, Gisenyi, c'est chez moi. Le jour qu'il y aura une mutation de pouvoir, je pense que ça sera une très grande victoire pour nous tous, et nous nous rencontrerons ensemble dans cette région, plairer nos morts, et puis enterrer les nôtres dans la dignité. Merci beaucoup pour votre travail.
Ah oui,
Mais
je voulais ajouter que c'était pas que moi, il y avait d'autres, mais j'ai pas cité de nom parce que il y a les autres, surtout ceux qui ont participé du Rwanda et aussi du Congo à Goma et tout près de Goma. C'est très, euh, comment on dit, euh, c'est pas facile. La sécurité et l'insécurité n'est pas garantie si on les cite. C'était que moi, il y avait beaucoup d'autres qui ont
Je
participé,
sais,
mais
oui, je sais. Nous prions les esprits de nos ancêtres pour qu'ils les protègent dans la région. Et un jour, nous pointerons, je pense que leurs noms seront cités dans des... c'est important parce que nous avons des aînés qui n'avaient pas réussi, mais quand même qu'il y a la nouvelle génération qui reprend le combat et qui nous donne des résultats. Moi, je pense que ça vaut la peine de les louer un jour, le jour qu'il y aura la paix dans la région. Merci beaucoup, merci beaucoup. Et que les esprits de nos ancêtres vous gardent partout où vous êtes.
merci mon frère.
merci, cher Symphorien. Alors, on va continuer avec Claude GATEBUKE en anglais. Et on va donc lui demander la question sur son voyage en Asie. On avait vu qu'il était aussi allé en Asie. Mr. Getbuke, thank you so much for being here. I saw that you went in Asia on a peace conference.
Yeah.
What was that about? I used actually the picture. What was that about? What was the peace summit in Asia about, and how did the people receive it? And then there's also this crisis right now in the Rwandan community where one of the opposition figure, who is very well known, Victoire Ingabire, has been imprisoned once again by the Kagamistan. What do you think about it? And what do you think about their timing of imprisoning her again? Thank you.
Um, so I guess we'll start with the Asia trip, um, which I've actually been a bunch of different places this year since the turn of the year. Um, all in making sure that the world knows and the world must know. Some of it we do it with Cheche, uh, so that we don't blow up the spot, right? We don't want to blow up the spot and uh, ha- give the Kagamistan the chance, because part of what helps for us is the element of surprise. But the trip to Asia, it was a global peace summit, and it was in Thailand, and there were people from almost 50 countries, and the delegates were from almost 50 countries, and this is a summit for emerging global leaders, and they had a number of speakers. I was one of them, and the whole summit was about number one, showing these emerging global leaders that there is like the world is changing, and it's not no longer the same, and everybody, so many people now have agency. And as part of the conversation and things that need to be done is really um, recognize injustice for what it is, regardless of who's doing it, and to make sure that basically people are united around the idea of not only the idea but the practice of justice, and making sure that they understand that emerging voices are going to have a lot to, in the decisions that will be made. So um, the the other part, yeah, I see you were playing the I think you were playing the clip there. Um there's also, bringing together the world. There were I mean, like I said, delegates were from at least a quarter of the planet. Um and The other big thing was the recognition of the work that has been done. At one point, I did ask if, once it was announced, if they, because I know, the Kagamistan always does this. They go around and they try to stop.
Maybe we can listen to it a little bit, just a tiny little bit.
Okay.
to work to
The remarks are long unless you want to skip to like maybe a certain part. But I did center my remarks on what's happening in the Congo a lot.
sorry,
And then I'll talk
Yeah,
about
thank you so
the
much
just a
for the
actual.
tiny little
introduction,
bit. We're just gonna show a
Selena.
tiny
I
little
want to
bit.
start by expressing my deepest gratitude to the organizers, everybody that's working to make this happen, as well as the leaders, especially Kim Solomon, for making this happen, and for every one of you to come together to work to work toward peace. In my message, I guess, a lot of you are students, and a lot of times, I don't know if they still write that way, but you do, you write everything and then you go to the conclusion. I'll just start with the conclusion. In order to get peace, there has to be justice. In order for there to be justice, the truth must come to light. And that is the formula that I follow. Truth leads to justice. Justice leads to peace. And there's no justice, there's no peace without justice. And as has been said multiple times in this conference, peace is not the
Very nice.
absence
Okay, I'm gonna
of
jump towards the end.
conflict.
Okay.
Especially, we are also, like, our governments are funding these governments that are committing these atrocities, the Rwandan and Ugandan government. And those are things that we have rights to actually demand a change on. In the same way that we demand that the US stops funding genocide in Gaza. It's the exact same. It's our business, it's our money. And as I said in the beginning, you cannot get peace unless there is justice. Anytime you leave a grievance unanswered, without addressing it unaddressed, it's gonna lead to violent conflict. So the best thing that we can do, it's always better to talk than war. The best thing that we can do is to raise awareness on these things that are happening. Every single one of you has a platform.
We can even end there. That's a really great. That's a great. That's a great way to end the preview. So I encourage people to go and watch it, watch the whole thing. It's on YouTube, so you can actually see it. It was called the Fourth Global Peace Summit, and then Claude Gatebuke was there. So yes, you can continue to tell us a little bit more about it,
Well,
and then we can get on the opposition lady in Rwanda as well.
some of the actually the feedback that I got after speaking was from the delegates. They were like, "Yeah, we're not used to hearing like people come in these spaces and talk about some of the things you talked about, like neocolonialism and imperialism and exploitation and all of these things that need to be challenged and radically changed and fundamentally changed." And basically, I said to them, "Hey, look, when I get invited to somewhere to speak, I give my remarks and I give them authentically and as they are supposed to be. And if they invite me again, cool. If they don't invite me again, I don't ask why. I usually know." Um, and the other thing was there were a lot of Asian delegates. There were a lot of people from China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, people from the
Sorry.
Middle East, from all over. And there were some who had actually been to Rwanda and drank the Kool-Aid. And so they would come to me and be like, I was in Rwanda and I mean, it looks really calm and peaceful. Like some of the things that you were talking about, I couldn't tell. And so then I would say, okay, when you were in Rwanda, did you see any street vendors? And they're like, no. Why is that? And they're like, no, I didn't see any. Why is that? I was like, well, because they clean the streets, and part of cleaning the streets is cleaning people off of those streets. So for your own enjoyment and your own admiration of the cleanliness and everything, people will remove from it. And then I would ask, tell me a city: New York, LA, Chicago, DC. I recognize some of the delegates here on the screen. Um, uh, Hong Kong, London, Paris, Johannesburg, Rio, any place. I've been to many of those places. Can you tell me one that doesn't have street vendors? Like, what city have you seen? What city have you been to that does not have people vending stuff on the street? And
Hmm.
so then they will start, they're like, okay, now I'm starting to connect the dots because everybody, the only thing they say are good things about the government. And then eventually they were like, oh, you know what? Once they had a few drinks, some of the students would say, "Yeah, we want change," and things like that. So it was a really interesting place to be. There were delegates from Russia who also were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I've been to Rwanda," and then again, like as the conversations unfolded, it would come to, okay, that place is really different than what we thought, and especially what's happening in the Congo. So one of the things that actually emerged out of it was there was like a group of them that formed to continue following up on what's happening in the Congo, because they were like, man, I don't know anything that's happening there. And um, and as part of that, they're also following the region, Rwanda and other things. So that was one of the outcomes. I remember one of the presenters, a woman from England, was like, I have a presentation about forgiveness, and I went to a conference in Rwanda in the summer, but now I'm thinking maybe they fed me some bullshit. And and she was like, I think they give me bullshit in that place based on some of the things you were saying. So we had conversations, and she still did her presentation, but I think maybe she had planned to use Rwanda as a major example, and she ended up not doing that. Um, so anyway, so that was that global peace. Um, that was the Global Peace Summit. I've also done PeaceCon. Um, you know, I just came from another one, also like a global one, with like they had like 90 countries in this one, where again it's like you go hard or you go home, and for me it's
Mhm.
always go hard. And if they say okay, we'll have you back, cool. If they say don't ever come back, hey,
That's
all you're gonna
the
get
that
is they're just gonna get that. Yeah.
That's their
So,
problem. What matters is that you go there and you speak facts, you tell the truth. And then if they can't handle it, that's their problem. And we thank you
yeah.
so much for it. So, precisely speaking of forgiveness, the Kagamistan Paul Kagame had forgiven Ingabire. So then now they have arrested her again. What do you think this is? I was talking about how to me it may be a distraction, to distract from the Congolese peace deal. Nobody's going to be talking about the peace deal. People are going to be activisting on one person instead of focusing on the thing that is destroying millions and millions of people, or that is concerning millions and millions of people. How do you think people should go about this situation?
So interesting that you say that Kagame forgave Ingabire, or
Hmm.
the regime in Rwanda forgave her. I can't find the article right away. I know you have some very good research skills, but um, I wrote an article when they released Ingabire and Kizito, and I said Kagame is in no position to forgive her, to give her forgiveness, or Kizito, both of them. I remember saying that, and um, I'd said that Kagame should apologize. He's the one that needs to apologize to Rwandans. This was in 2018. I also said, this. Um, I mean, like, it's not time to celebrate. I also said that. That let me see. I think I found it.
Okay. I
Uh,
was I was uh
say,
I was on your New York Times article,
uh,
but
yeah.
that
So this one I co-authored it with my sister, but it looks like it's on allafrica.com, but All Africa doesn't look like it shows the full article. So in any case, the title was "Despite Release of Political Prisoners, President Kagame is Still Despotic." So maybe there's another place we can find it. But on Pambazuka News, looks like it's there. And anyway, my point was that was not
okay.
forgiveness.
Kagame is still a dictator even after freeing a political prisoner.
Yeah. And it looks like it's in a few places. It looks like it's also on that Bin Franco Rwandese. It's on Pambazuka News. So we'll find it. In any case,
This is
my
the
point,
one, right?
let's see. I can't tell from there. Yeah, but anyway, it was about the release of Kizito and Ingabire. And so today, I have to push back on what you're saying here. Um, I don't, um, they never forgave her. If they forgave her, they should have released her, let her go. And they didn't. She can't go home to go see her husband or visit her family home in the Netherlands. She is basically she's been a prisoner anyway. Um, the whole time that she's been in Rwanda, and Rwanda is an open air prison. I've said this many times, um, and I think that um, at the end of the day, right now, with her arrest, um, me personally, um, I think that she's done. She did really well. When she went back in 2010, she, I mean, the RPF didn't know how to react to her. They used to, all they were expecting was bullets and bombs. She went in there and shook them up, and they didn't know how to react. So I think what she did is very heroic. I also think she should have never went to prison because there was no reason to put her in prison. I think that if she ran, there's another documentary that I was in a long time ago. It was comparing her to the woman in Burma. Um, I think that if she ran, and I said this also, that this was back in 2010, 2011, if she ran, she would have beaten Paul Kagame if they didn't have guns on people to force them to vote for him. In the same way that Faustin Twagiramungu beat him in 2003, and then they ended up stuffing the ballots. So now her arrest today, I think, is, you know, the regime has taken a serious beating internationally. It's taken a beating everywhere, all over the place. Diplomatically, the Congolese diplomats are outshining the Rwandan diplomats in the game of diplomacy. In the media, they've taken a beating. People are starting to see them for the real mass murderers that they are. And the economy is getting hit. Kagame was telling people to like tighten their belts because he doesn't, because things, times are getting hard. And so I think the regime is trying to create some type of distraction, maybe to get some kind of, to release a little bit of the pressure. But it looks like, or maybe just finding a scapegoat, like scapegoating her. But at the end of the day, this the regime itself, they have nothing on her. Like she has committed no crime in the country. For any country where people have any amount of rights, she should be free. She should actually be president, or at least be allowed to run. And by the way, when that article came out, it was right around when, I think it was a little bit after they had arrested Diane Guigara, who also is another woman who ran against Kagame, was imprisoned for a year along with her mother. Her sister was also arrested during that time, but it just so happened that her sister was an American citizen, and the U.S. pushed for her to be released. So Ingabire should not be in prison in Rwanda for anything and any reason at all. Um, the the um, the whole fight, now is, I think the regime is just trying to clutch on anything, to hold on to anything that they can hold on to create some type of distraction. And maybe they're trying to create leverage, because by the way, Kagame is evil but also smart uh, in their evil. The way they do things, they're always creating leverage. The way they took Goma, right? And they lost hundreds of troops. But, he doesn't care about how many people die. He does not care about how many people are injured. He doesn't care about his own soldier. He didn't care about the thousands, the 7 to probably more than 10,000 Congolese people who were killed, the women, the hundreds of women who were raped. He doesn't care about that. All he cared about was to create something that gives him negotiating power. And I think what he's doing with Victoire Ingabire in this time is also to try to create some type of negotiating power, for whatever ends he's trying to achieve, which we'll find out. We'll find out soon. But I mean, that's what the RPF does. They
And
create
have people marching for one person instead of marching for the he's hiding something in the peace deals, so nobody pays attention. I was saying that it could also be that he doesn't want people to pay attention to the peace deal, because in
Mhm.
the peace deal they're hiding in something that benefits him.
Yes, that's also very possible. That's definitely very possible that um, he's using it as a way to like create some type of distraction so he can do some other evil things. Again, you know, I mean, we're talking about Kagame, one of the biggest mass murderers that the world has ever known, like up there. If there were awards to give for some really cynical and I mean, if you look at this guy, Paul
Yeah, like
Kagame.
if Satan was giving out awards to people who have
Yes,
really served him great.
yeah, yeah. Or if you had to, if they were like, well, you have two choices. You need to choose Satan or Lucifer. Pick one. That's that's Paul Kagame. It's the answer is okay. Who is Paul Kagame? The answer A is Satan. B is Lucifer. So that's pretty much this guy knows how to conceal his evil, and he tries his very best. He tries to be very convincing. I think part of it, the people who believe him, a lot of times they are out of fanaticism, especially people in the West. So I got a little story to tell about that. At one of the conferences, it was a national conference for educators, and I was speaking there, and my remarks, I centered them around Aimable Karasira, the professor, musician, YouTuber, philosopher, genocide survivor who is in prison in Rwanda. The man has been in prison for years and no trial. His trial has never been completed. Um, So, I talked about his story, and then one of the people who were in attendance came up to me and she mentions this person who is one of Kagame's supporters. He's kind of a well known person around the US. And yes, thank you for bringing Karasira up, right? And to his right, Karasira is the bald headed guy. To his right is Kizito Mihigo, who also is the was a very popular gospel musician who was also assassinated in Rwanda in 2020. So anyway, I was talking about Karasira, and then somebody came up to me and she goes, what does this person, another person, what does this person, why wouldn't, and it's an American pastor, why wouldn't he say the things that you're saying about Kagame? Like all of this stuff is coming out now about the regime. So why don't they, um, why don't they talk, why doesn't he talk about it? I was like, I've had a conversation with this guy. We've actually had a confrontation because I challenged him at one of the conferences when he was praising the evil regime in Rwanda. And, um, I think, one of the things he said is, hey, I'm an educator. So I don't want to be in a confrontation and things like that. And then I was like, well, so I guess he doesn't want to say that because he doesn't want to lose his projects in Rwanda. And the woman goes, but why wouldn't he say that in my kitchen in New York? you know, so, so, so all that to say that some people are so committed to the lie. They are so committed to maintaining the status quo. They are so committed to Kagame's evil that they will bend over backwards, tear themselves into pieces, lose credibility with colleagues and friends and everybody just so that they can still maintain the belief. And that's the danger of belief. Belief has nothing to do with truth. You can believe anything. I mean, you can. I can look at you and believe that you have no hair, and I can believe that, and there's nothing anybody can change about that. Or I can say that the UNI sign in the background, that's in red and white, is green and yellow. And as long as I say I believe that, that's it. So yes, there are people who are very, very committed to believing all of the evil things that Kagame does, and to continue to spread it. So back to Ingabire, I think it's mostly a distraction. I do think, um, we have to fight for, and make sure that the world is aware of the injustice that she's going through, and resist and fight that she's released. Um, but that also needs to happen in the context of the general, what is happening with everybody else. It's about liberty. It's about liberation for the people. She's part of the people, and so she is, obviously an important player that needs, strong advocacy, which could benefit, the rest of the people also. But as we advocate and push and fight back for her, we have to continue to make the fight about her and everybody else. And so, that's my remarks. I do think that it is some type of distraction that they're creating.
Thank you, and thank you so much for all your work. And we want to tell the Kagamistan that we are going to keep watching, and then we're also gonna keep watching this deal that they are trying to hide from people, because if it's something that benefits the people and if it's good for the people, then let the people read it, let the people examine it, and judge for themselves if it is actually really good for the people. So before we move into Kenya, Rwanda, what would you like to say? There were also rumors about Kagame being sick, and how do you see the future of Rwanda tomorrow? And then after this, NBC exposing the Kagamistan, exposing that his army is in Congo, despite the fact that he lied to the whole world and claimed that he didn't know on CNN. Have you seen results from it? And what kind of what kind of action do you want the people who are listening, who would like to support you in your work? How can they support you? And if you want to tell us what you're working on, or if it's going to stay hush, 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 we're just going to be surprised until we see it on NBC, you know?
Well, um, I will say, what is changed is that now this has become a mainstream conversation, um, in the US. Um, but I'd be remiss not to, express my gratitude to everybody that has been covering what is happening, that is not as well funded, not as well resourced as NBC. Places like Breakthrough News, Al Jazeera has been covering it pretty well. I've seen my brother Kambale on, um, a lot of places, speaking on it. I've seen many places speaking on it. Are Especially, one of the things that I find very encouraging is our people in West Africa, uh, connected with like publications and channels and television stations and radios that are in Liberia, in Nigeria, a lot of them in Nigeria, and then of course in Southern Africa. South Africa has opened their eyes to what is happening. So I want to kick a shout out to all of them. And I also, want to. So what I would add about the the NBC, yeah, it's gotten to a an audience that otherwise would not have known about some of these things, and people are more aware about what their taxes are doing in the region, and in the Congo. And people have no appetite for war. In the U.S., there is a real big pushback on foreign wars, which I love because I don't want. I'm against wars. I'm 100% in support of self-defense, um, and that's a basic human right. As a human rights activist, self-defense and defense of others are two of the most important rights. So there's a lot of there's no appetite um, for wars. Um, the other thing is, I think it kind of pushes the U.S. government to continue to, hey, let's get this deal done, before so many people even know about it. Um, and so those are all some of the results. The the work, of course, continues right now. I think I've already shared with you the way I see change coming about, right? Real, radical, fundamental change. Um, on Let's see, there are two players, right? There is work and change that's going to happen from inside, and there's change that those of us who are outside and in the diaspora have to contribute. 90% will be by the people inside of the country and the region. 10% of it is ours, those of us who are outside of the country. That 10% is critical because that's where the resources come from, the money, the influence, the power, and we have um, that um, that power and the influence and the ability, or even if we don't have it, we have the ability to create it and create that leverage. So for me, my focus has been for a while now, and is going to continue for a good while, to continue to awaken the whole world about what is happening. This isn't work that is done by us. Oh, by the way, speaking of Brother Kambale, I saw you flashing his page. He was saying the same thing that Symphorien was saying. So I think at some point we're gonna make this happen, of things that we're planning on making happen. Um, Doing a convening of people from the region,
A
Rwandans and
Great Lakes Conference.
yes, yes, and getting together. There are a number of projects we're working on. Some legal projects. We're working on these economic related types of projects. Definitely media, making sure that the world is aware and the world knows what is going on, so that we can continue to build more leverage. Um, we are um, working on things related to um, limiting resources for these mass murderers, be it aid, be it ability to purchase, weapons and all of that. So all of that is in the works, and slowly the results will continue to come. But I think I'll just stop it at that, so that I don't give out too much, because the element of surprise has to remain, because that's one way, when when they get when they get hit, they don't know what hit them.
Absolutely. Like the way you hit us with the NBC News documentary, that was so good.
You know,
Especially after Paul Kagame going on CNN and saying, I don't know, but you're the commander in chief. There's a lot of things I don't know. And Claude GATEBUKE is like, well, I'm about to tell you now.
I
I'm
think
about to tell the
not
whole world.
Yeah, I don't work for NBC, so but the point here is, um, this guy pretending he doesn't know that his soldiers are in the Congo. And then, what was interesting? Uh, I mean, I guess he has a flair for the dramatic. He's a little bit of a drama king. He's like, he got with Mario Naufal and he said that Chisekedi was a pizza delivery guy. So he knows what Chisekedi used to do, I don't know how many years ago, but doesn't know what his soldiers are doing this year. And then afterwards, he goes to negotiate a peace deal as one of the negotiators about a war that his troops are not involved in. Why is he there? If it's a Congolese war and it's only Congo, then why is he negotiating this peace? So anyway, there's a lot of work happening right now, and this revolution will not stop until radical and fundamental change happens. And we are going to continue to normalize the radical, because that's what needs to happen.
Thank you so much. You have lived up to the title of your book. You and the whole Ribaruariraye team, Survivors Uncensored. You refuse to be censored, and you're out there exposing a criminal dictatorship that will contribute to freedom. And freedom in Rwanda is freedom in Congo, is freedom for all Africans. So we appreciate it, and we encourage people to keep up the boycott everything the Kagamistan in Rwanda, boycott Visit Rwanda, boycott Air Rwanda, boycott everything made in Rwanda. And we thank you so much for everything that you do to make sure that this criminal dictatorship falls. So we're going to move into Kinyarwanda and keep talking about it. I don't know if you have a last word in English before we move into Kinyarwanda.
I will just invite everybody to continue. Don't stop. And also, let's keep it real, keep it 100 in this fight against evil. The only person who will lose is the person who gets tired, or the person who is not sincere. Those two anyway will drop off. But let's go and let's do this, and there is nothing, we have nothing to lose but our chains. Like, who doesn't want to lose their chains? Yeah, yeah. Let's
Thank
let's
you
let's
so
get it.
much.
Let's get it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, my people, let's get it. Let's get it and keep making the noise. We thank Claude GATEBUKE so much for making all that noise. All right, so let's move into Kinyarwanda. My people, tugere mu Kinyarwanda. Mumaze iminsi mumbaza uko nkoze live ngo GATEBUKE bite, ngo Kagamistan yaramushimuse. Uyu munsi arahari, namubashakiye, agiye kubitubwira, atubwire ukuntu ari mu batamaje Kagamistan kuri NBC News, atubwire aho bigeze, ukuntu yagiye no muri Aziya, yavuye no muri Europe mu ma Peace Summit. Mbega imirimba, nyumva ko muhirimbana. Hanyuma turi bunaganire no kuri kaya Ingabire, Kagamistan yihaye kongera gufunga Ingabire. Nuko dukomeze tuganire my people, murakaza neza. Uyu munsi rero turi live, turi en direct, ndababona mwese abahari muri en direct ku itariki ya 21 Kamena, Gicurasi, Kamena, aha. Hanyuma rero ubwo rediffusion mu Kinyarwanda gusa n'ejo. Karibu sana man.
Uwacu Krasi.
Oh, Uwacu Krasi. Uwacokrasi ni matokrasi, ndi muri matokrasi. Umutoni Delphine, my people, na hashtag Imana number 1. Turi kumwe, namubazaniye